The Game Boy Advance is a 20-year-old handheld system that's still fun to play to this day. In this video I'm going to show you a few modifications that I made to my Game Boy Advance, along with a few different ways to play that make this system something very easy to access and something that's very fun to tinker around with if you're into modding. So kick back and relax, and let's kick the Game Boy Advance into overdrive.
Now watch, I go into overdrive.
I bring in my phasers like that!
Welcome to Gamers Overdrive Retro Mode. Kick back and relax while I blast you back in time and guide you down a pixelated, coin-operated, button-mashing memory lane paved with joysticks, consoles, and dusty old cartridges. Where good guys are always good guys, bad guys are always bad guys, and the fate of the universe lies in your hands. Time to kick it into overdrive, retro mode. Insert coin to play.
Hey everybody, welcome to Gamers Overdrive Retro Mode. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and please share it with your friends. Leave a comment if you like what I do, or if you don't really like what I do. I'd love to hear about that too. So, the first thing I want to talk about is this guy right here. This is my personal Game Boy Advance. This was given to me by a friend, Tommy. Thanks a lot, Tommy. Given to me years ago. I think it must have been about 11 years ago that he gave this to me. And it didn't look like this when he gave it to me. It was a stock standard Game Boy Advance, which had kind of a translucent a purplish color to it. Now you can see that it looks very different. So I did a few modifications to this a couple of years ago, and it has served me well ever since. So the first thing I did was I did the magic backlight on the screen. Now that is one of the major downfalls of this system when it was first released back in 2001, June of 2001 in America, is that it didn't have a backlight. So if you played this thing in the old days, you had to sit directly under a lamp or under sunlight, and it was not very comfortable. I don't know how I played through the countless games I played through on this thing, but I managed, and it turned out okay in the end. But that said, going back and playing it in the modern era is not very fun unless you modify it. And there are so many ways to modify this thing. And there are really a slew of Game Boy Advance hackers and modders on YouTube. I'll leave a link in the description to some of my favorites. They're way, way, way ahead of me in terms of what they can do with this thing. But I did just a very basic mod. The first thing that I did with this guy, as I said, I put a backlight in it. And the way that works is that, well, there are a few ways it works, but with my version, I took something called the AG101. And the AG101 backlit screen is what was installed in the successor to this version of the Game Boy Advance, which was the clamshell Game Boy Advance SP. So they found a way to just rip those old screens out of the updated one and put them in this shell. And why would you want to do that? Because this shell is much cooler than the clamshell. I guess it's down to personal preference, but I always loved this model. This was one of my favorite handheld. I think it's probably my favorite handheld console, retro console anyway. But I'll talk about that in a second. So this thing basically can hold that screen from the SP, but there are a few steps you need to take. The first thing you need to do is get a shell. So you can get these shells anywhere. There's so many places to get them: Amazon, eBay, and AliExpress. And they're all different colors. I happen to like the clear one. I think the translucent clear is my favorite, so I always stick with that. But you can get any color you want. But the standard housing on the original Game Boy Advance doesn't fit that SP screen perfectly. So you would have to open the case up, and you have to make a few trimming cuts on the inside here. Now this one, I kind of bought this by mistake. See, I was going to do, for this video, I was going to do a special update to my already updated Game Boy Advance. But I bought the wrong case. Which brings me to the next thing that you can do to the Game Boy Advance. You can put something called an IPS screen into it. And the IPS screen is even better than the AG101. It has a much higher resolution, I think it has a denser pixel count, and the screen is brighter. Now there are pros and cons to both of them. The one that I have in here serves me very well, but it is a little bit dim, and it also just has that lower pixel count. But if you want kind of the authentic Game Boy experience, this is the one to go with, because it's giving you that the same kind of pixel count as the original, but it just has a backlight so you can actually see what's going on. With the IPS screen, you get much clearer picture, but it does take a big chunk out of your battery life. So it's give and take, and it's about personal preference, whichever one you're into. Now, one of the things that I personally love is going on AliExpress and searching for these guys, and these guys are really cool. So these are kind of Chinese bootleg. These are just multi-carts. So if you look here, you can see a few pictures on there. I got the two blue ones most recently because they had some games on there that I really wanted. Zelda, I've been searching for that for a while. And so you can just go on to AliExpress, and when you go to, I'll leave the link for that also in the description, but when you go there, you're going to see a huge page full of kind of thumbnails with these guys on them, and it can be kind of hard to know what's on each one. So I thought in this video I would show you what exactly is on these ones here. And I think these ones, if you have these four, I think you're pretty much good. You don't have to worry about missing out on any of the really great games. There might be a few hidden gems, or maybe your old favorite isn't in this one, but again, they have tons of these, and you can always find one that has the game that you're looking for. So why do you want these instead of the old standard original cartridges, which of course are always great? Well, this consolidates your collection, and you can just carry around a bunch of games in one single cartridge. And I assume that if you're still playing on one of these things anyway, you like that kind of tactile feel of jamming a cartridge into that system just like that. It feels good, you know, it feels like the old days, so you want to just click it in there and jam. So that's why you would want to get these. It keeps that old feel. You can still have a cartridge. You're not just playing off of ROMs on your phone, which I'll talk about later. But it just consolidates everything, so you have fewer cartridges and more games. And again, I have a couple of original cartridges here, but I always prefer playing on these multi-carts. That's just my own personal preference. Over here I have something called SuperCard SD. I got this a while ago and I never used it because it's not user-friendly at all, but the idea, the aim of this, let me try and get some focus over there. The aim of this card is to put your ROMs, install the SD card, and then, install the ROMs onto the SD card, and then you can use this as your single all-in-one cartridge, so you still get that clicky feel, pop the cartridge in there, but you have the whole collection of Game Boy Advance games on there. That's the idea, but it's easier said than done because this thing is not user-friendly. It's very hard to use. You have to convert the ROM files into a specific format, and it's not worth the time, in my opinion. It wasn't that expensive, so I don't feel like I missed out on a lot, but anyway, as I said, I prefer these multi-carts, so what I want to do is show you what's on these guys. So let's take a closer look. So if you're considering getting one of these multi-carts, just head over to AliExpress. I'll leave a link in the description below. And these are the four that I recommend. But again, it's tricky, so you have to look at the serial numbers. Look closely here. Right here, the Mario Collection here. This has all the major Mario games. It's EG002. And there's another number, 2048M. I don't know what that stands for. But over here, this one has the Castlevania Collection. This is my favorite one. This is EG003, 2048M on the other side. This one has a really good collection of fighting games for Game Boy Advance. This is EG011 and 2048M on the other side. And this one has the Zelda Collection and the Donkey Kong Country Collection. It also has some other cool stuff on there. So that's EG005, 2048M on the other side. Let's take a look at what these things have to offer and how they play. Okay, I'm starting with the Mario Collection. The Mario Collection just turns on like a regular Game Boy game would. Has that little ding sound. And then here you have the entire Mario Collection. Pretty much every Mario game that was ever made for Game Boy Advance. So you can see we have Mario Advance 1, 2, 3, and 4. We have Mario Kart, Super Circuit, We have Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga. We've got Wario Land 4, Mario Pinball Land, Dr. Mario. Sorry, I'll focus that for you. Over here, Mario vs. Donkey Kong. We've got Mario Party and WarioWare. So if you're a Mario fan, this would be the one to get. Let's see what the next one has to offer. Okay, here we've got the Zelda Collection. So we've got Zelda Link to the Past and Four Swords, Zelda the Minish Cap, Breath of Fire 2. This one scrolls down instead of left to right. Then we have some filler, a bunch of these filler games that nobody really cares about. Monsters Inc., Jimmy Neutron, and NBA Jam. Some more filler here, Planet of the Apes, Nemo, and Ice Age. We've got Lady Sia, Metabots, and Aragon. Again, these are really just filler. They're trying to fill up the cart with some more stuff so they can put a 24 on it instead of a 12 or a 5. Sonic Advance, sorry. That's Sonic Advance 3, Contra, and Avatar. Avatar, by the way, is a really good game. I just played it recently. Very impressive. Sonic Advance, so we have the whole Sonic Advance collection here, and Sonic the Hedgehog. So that's the original Sonic the Hedgehog. Like a pretty good port of it, but a little slow. Which you don't want for a Sonic game, I guess. Donkey Kong Country, the entire collection is here, which alone would make this cartridge worth it. So Donkey Kong Country 1, 2, and 3, along with King of Swing, and on the next page you'll see Donkey Kong Country 1, with Breath of Fire and Harvest Moon. And back to the Zelda Collection. So this one again, for Zelda and Donkey Kong, it's totally worth it to have these all in one spot. Very, very good deal. Let's see the next one. Okay, this is that fighting game collection here. So we have King of Fighters EX Neo, Tekken, and Mortal Kombat Advance. We've got, don't worry about that, we've got King of Fighters EX2, The Howling Blood, we got Super Street Fighter 2, and Street Fighter Alpha 3, which is an insanely good port for the Game Boy Advance. Amazing what they were able to do with limited technology back in the day. This version is really, really impressive, gotta say. Let's go back. So this one scrolls up again, not left and right. Got a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle collection here. Some of these are good, some of them are not. Dragon Ball Z collection again. There's like one that I really like. The others are throwaways. Metroid. These are two amazing games. Metroid Zero Mission and Fusion. Both are incredible and worth the price of this cartridge alone, in my opinion. Let's see what else we got here. Medal of Honor. Decent, again, impressive for what it is on a Game Boy. CT Special Forces, that's a pretty cool game. I'm actually, I like that game a lot. So it's got 1, 2, and 3. And this one also has Mario World on it. So that's Mario Advance 2. If you're into, you know, you can have it in a mix-up here if you want. I don't know why you would want to, but why not? More Mario is better, I guess. Pool, Hardcore Pool. I don't know how hardcore it is, but it's Pool. We have Namco Museum 50th anniversary. We've got something called Chicken Shoot, one of those weird, you know, homebrew crappy games that no one really will ever play. Polly Pocket, which is one of the greatest games of all time. This, I think Metacritic rated this, I think it was like at the top of the list for a very long time. So I highly recommend Polly. Oh no, that's not, I'm sorry, that's completely, that's not true. It's not true at all. I'm very sorry. Let's see. We got Monster Truck. We got Double Dragon Advance. Contra Advance. The Alien Wars. These are very good. Double Dragon is awesome. Love this game for Game Boy Advance. What else do we got? And then we got the Power Rangers, which I think one of them is decent, but I'm never going to play these. I bought these for King of Fighters and Street Fighter, and Tekken is surprisingly good too. So, very good collection here. And Super Street Fighter 2 is also pretty awesome for Game Boy Advance. Let's see what's on the last one. Alright, so on this one we have the crown jewel for me. These are some of the best games ever made. I love the Castlevania series on Game Boy Advance and DS. But this has the whole kind of trilogy right here. So you've got Circle of the Moon, you've got Harmony of Dissonance, and you've got Aria of Sorrow. All awesome. I would have bought this if it just had these three and nothing else on it. It's the only reason I bought it, really. But it's got other stuff too. It's got Crash Bandicoot, which is surprisingly good for Game Boy Advance. It's got the whole Crash collection here. It's got Advance Wars 1 and 2, which are both awesome, awesome strategy games, and I hate strategy games, but I do like those games. Star Wars, what's this? Lego Star Wars and Lego Star Wars 2. Okay, I never tried those. I've tried them on other systems, but not on Game Boy. CT Special Forces again. So you're gonna get some repeats here. You're not really buying these for the filler games. You have to know what you're looking for. That's why I'm kind of showing you the serial number of these. So if you are interested, you'll get exactly the one that you want, and you can buy a couple of them like I did. This game is awesome. Ghost Rider, I was very surprised. This is really good. It's actually like reminiscent of God of War. Incredible, like a 2D side-scrolling God of War. Haven't played this Superman. Hopefully it's not as bad as the N64 one. Astro Boy, I have not played. I played it once, I think. Yeah, decent game. Van Helsing. What else? Columns, Crown, and Klonoa 1 and 2. Both of which I really like. I lost focus there. Yeah, Klonoa 1 and 2 are both really good. And then, of course, the all-time classic. It's Barbie and the Magic of Pegasus. And this is one you're going to want to spend a lot of time with. You're going to want to, you might even want to do a live stream of this, just because it's a really popular game, especially among the Game Boy Advance modders. They really like this one. And I'm just kidding. That's, again, it's a filler game. It's just in there to fill up space. I don't know why they put these weird games in there. Pac-Man World 2, Men in Black, Prehistoric Man, and Road to WrestleMania, which is decent wrestling game. Not bad. Midnight Club is kind of like the old. They made this like the original Grand Theft Auto, kind of the overhead perspective, and it's pretty fun. And then some kind of Scooby-Doo game. So that's what I got for the multi-carts. If you find something on these that you like, I would suggest going to AliExpress and buying them, because they're awesome and they play really well. I'm going to show you some, just in case you think like this is a menu screen and nothing else. They play pretty much flawlessly. I'll pick a random one. How about, yeah, let's see, Barbie Adventure. Let's check that out. So you see it loads up just as you remembered it when you bought this game all those years ago, which I'm sure most of you watching this did own the original version of Barbie's Magic Pegasus Adventure. And you can play it now in 2021 just as you remembered. It's just a lot of fun, amazing gameplay. It's even got an arcade mode, if you can believe that. The password, if you memorized the passwords years ago like I did, then it'll be, this will just be a really great throwback for you. But no, all kidding aside, all of the games work on these. I've tested them all. They run flawlessly. Just to rinse the bitter taste of Barbie's Magical Pegasus out of your mouth, I'm going to show you some good gameplay right here. So right here we are loading up the amazing, incredible Castlevania for Game Boy Advance, and this is Harmony of Dissonance. Not the best one, but one of the best ones. Really love it. It's kind of like it's really like a Symphony of the Night clone, but it is lacking in a few areas. So check this out. You see it looks exactly as you remember it, and it plays perfectly. Save states work. That's how I was able to access this game. And yeah, again, the game is awesome. So all of these games on all of these multi-carts work flawlessly. Take my word for it. They're a great option, and I highly recommend them. But they are not the only way to play Game Boy Advance. There are many more ways, and I'm going to show you in the rest of this video some of those awesome options. Here we have Nintendo DS, and it's a metallic pink because it's my wife's. It does not belong to me. I swear to God, this is not mine. But it is a great system. It's the DS was just on its own a fantastic system. Some of the best Castlevania games ever made are on this console. But one of the really cool features about it is that it can play Game Boy Advance games. It had backwards compatibility, so it puts this little stopper inside there, and you can pop in to the bottom your Game Boy Advance cartridge. And the cool thing is, multi-carts work. So you can use these cool Chinese knockoff multi-carts with no problem. You just put it in the bottom here, pop it in. It does protrude from the bottom a little bit, which is kind of awkward, but it works. So let me open this up and show you. If you want another way to play your Game Boy Advance collection, you can always use the DS. There's the startup, and let's go to the touch screen. Sorry. So you see, I've actually got a, what do you call it? One of those R4 cards. If you don't know what an R4 card is, I will do another episode on that. Amazing, kind of a very similar type deal to a multi-cart, but the DS version. But here, all you have to do is go to Start Game Boy Advance Game, right here. Not PictoChat. Whoops, my stupid finger touched the wrong thing there. But let me go back. So yeah, if you come down here and you hit Start Game Boy Advance Game, you get the exact same experience, but with a dual screen, the top of which you won't use at all. But you can still play the games. And there they are. But that's not the only way, and it's maybe not the best way to play. Now, what is this? The PlayStation Vita. The amazing Vita, which is my favorite handheld of all time. Game Boy Advance has the retro crown, but of all time, forget about it. Vita is the best. Now, Vita happens to be an amazing, amazing, amazing way to play Game Boy Advance. The emulator is perfect. The screen ratio is ideal. The screen quality, the graphics, the sound, everything, the buttons, it's all amazing. And so, playing Castlevania from Game Boy Advance on the Vita is my personal favorite way to play. How do you do this? I will do an entire episode on how to do this on a future, later date. The other button, there you go. Now I'm going to show you one more way to play Game Boy Advance that is possibly the most convenient for the modern gamer on the go. And that is coming up right now. And that brings me to the very end of this video, which I will show you my favorite way to play Game Boy Advance on the go. When I don't have an actual unit with me, an actual system, and I just have my cell phone, I always use the Reset app. And the Reset Collection app is available on the Google Play Store. It is a front end. And what that means is, just like those Chinese knockoff carts, they put everything inside of one cartridge. An app like this will gather all of your ROMs and put them all in one place, and it downloads the box art and the history of the game and a lot of cool little features, sometimes video clips from YouTube, and it puts it all in one place so that your whole collection is kind of like a museum. And you can see here I have a few different emulators in this, N64, Neo Geo, Pocket Color, NES, but here is the star of the show today, and that's Game Boy Advance. And I have a huge collection of Game Boy Advance ROMs in this little front end. But you also need to remember to get an emulator. And there are tons of Game Boy Advance emulators available. You can use RetroArch if you're into kind of nuts and bolts type stuff. That's not very user-friendly for a beginner. But there are other really good emulators, including GBA EMU. That's a really good one. But the one that I'm using for this episode is Pizza Boy. And it's a funny name, but it's a really good emulator. So I highly recommend Pizza Boy. It has a free version if you want to try it out. But when you do upgrade to the premium version for $4.99 on the US Google Play Store, you get a lot of nice extra features. I'm going to show you some of those in just a second. And I'm just going to scroll through my collection here. You can see I've got a whole bunch of stuff. Some of the stuff that's on the cartridges and some of the stuff that is not. And you might wonder, why do you need those cartridges and why do you need the Game Boy Advance itself if you have this right here? And it comes down to nostalgia. I'm a nostalgia freak, like so many people are these days. I just love, feeling the original console in your hands and putting a cartridge in. It feels good. But you don't really need it in this day and age. You can use apps like this to get everything in one place. And I'm just going to show you. You can see I have a really big collection here. I have like 160 something games in here. But I'm going to show you what happens when I enter one. So again, this works in kind of hand in hand with an emulator. You have to have an emulator to use this front end. Otherwise, you can show your games, but you won't be able to play them. So if I choose, for example, Metroid Fusion. Here's Metroid Fusion. So you can see it has a little background art. It has the logo and video. it actually shows you some gameplay. Now, when I press it, it takes me directly into the Pizza Boy app. You can play around with the features in the Reset Collection to make that an automatic thing. Sometimes if you have the free version of the emulator, you cannot just jump right into the emulator from there. So they sometimes require that you get the pro version. But here it is. Now we're inside. We're seeing it on screen. This is what it looks like. You can take those side panels away if you like. You can play in full screen. You can change the way the buttons look. You can make it look more like an NES, which is pretty cool. You can move the buttons away altogether if you just want to have the touch screen. And most importantly, you can use wireless controllers. PS4 controller is my favorite one to use for this type of a game. It works perfectly. Any Bluetooth controller will work just fine with this. And if you look over here in the upper left-hand corner of your screen, you can see a little panel that has turtles, a guy, and then rabbits, and then a lightning bolt. And that's a really nice feature. It's a fast forward or a slow motion feature. So if there's a game that doesn't let you skip a sequence, you can just speed it up. See, I'm pressing the lightning bolt there. It's going really fast. And the same thing, you can slow down. I don't know why you would want to slow down. Maybe for cool effects like that. That looks pretty cool. But then put it back on the normal guy for normal gameplay. You can also put filters on. I have a graphical filter on this right now. It's the HQ2X, I think. And it just adds a little smoothing to the graphics so it doesn't look pixelated. I actually really like the pixelated look. But sometimes I play around with filters for fun. All of those are right here in the menu. When you click those three dots, you can pull up the options menu here. Go to Settings, General, and there are plenty of options here for the UI, save states, setting up your gamepad, and video options, and that's where the shader options would be, so you can just play around with it, and you can put default on if you don't want any of them. So again, there are so many cool little things to play around with in this emulator, and I really love it. It's a very, very nice way to play Game Boy Advance. Highly recommend it. Again, the Pro version is $4.99 on the Google Play Store, and you can check out a free version of it if you like, just to sample it. So, that's the wrap-up. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Gamers Overdrive Retro Mode and what became kind of a tribute to the Game Boy Advance. As you can see, I love this system, I love the games, and I play it in a variety of ways because I'm a weirdo, and that's just what I like to do. It's my hobby. I really enjoy playing games in all of their different forms. I'm not really a purist or a hardcore, tried and true, I have to play on the original hardware. But if I do have the opportunity to play on the original hardware, I like to do that, and I like to kind of see if I can open up the system, change the shell, put a backlight, anything like that, I'm in for it. I'll just follow, somebody who's much wiser and more technically inclined than I am, usually on a YouTube channel that I follow. But, yeah, that's it. So Game Boy Advance, amazing system. It gets the Overdrive rating from Johnny Retro. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Gamers Overdrive Retro Mode. Please subscribe if you haven't already. If you have, thank you so much. You have no idea how much I appreciate it. Thank you for your continued viewership as this channel continues to grow. So, take care everybody, and I'll see you next time.